Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. This is a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry, if you're not sober or have never seen the movie Office Space like Corey, or you're
if
not
you're smoking
ready to
crack,
be sober, or you're not ready to be sober, we talk about plenty of other things, or if you're smoking crack, including sports, trending topics, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Sean, and I am your host. I'm joined by my good friends and fellow trudgers. Please remember to listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Videos will be posted each week so you can watch episodes on YouTube and Facebook. But as always, please be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle at Trudge Report Pod. We are brought to you by Stella Mix Podcast Management and our wonderful producer and editor, Miss Janine Stella. Gentlemen, happy recording Monday Night Football. Good evening, good day. Before we get going, my mom asked me for the Trudge Report email address today. So she might be firing in an email, but I think she gave it to someone. She gave it to a friend, like my mom, God bless her. She actually, we have a family friend whose daughter may or may not be struggling with some stuff right now. And my mom gave her the email address so she could reach out for help and support. So Corey, we're going to need you to check on that in the next couple of days.
Oh boy, dude.
Yep.
We were kidding
on that.
This is like episode 90 something. We were kidding every time we said we were willing to help. So
no.
Good. Or at least able to help.
You specifically, I put on there that you'll make house calls, Corey. You and Gabby, house calls. Let's start with you, Corey. How are you this fine Monday evening? What's going on? Kelly Green, sporting the Kelly Green. Was it a good day yesterday, a bad day? How are you doing?
Yesterday was... No, it really wasn't a good day. I haven't had a good day in a few days because I'm just working a lot. But
okay.
Sean, I don't know. Not much exciting. Yeah, the Eagles won. I mean, in impressive fashion.
Pretty exciting fashion, yeah, I must say.
But I won't even harp on that. How many games yesterday ended like
a lot?
Same way.
You're absolutely right. Yep.
That was abnormal, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was two 1 o'clock games.
What they refer to as the witching hour.
An aberration or aberration.
Right there at 4 p.m., just a whole bunch of games coming down to the wire. So
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought we were gonna lose, and that first half sucked, and I was like, all right, well, you got to lose eventually, right? Actually, before yesterday, they won 19 of their last 20 or 18 of their last 19 games, including the Super Bowl and playoffs last year and all that. The game that screwed it up, Sean, was your damn Commanders when you had to take out my quarterback to win the game. So it had been a while since they had lost, so I was ready for it, but no, they didn't lose. So fine.
Very good.
Fine with
Greg, your team got a win as well. You were at the game. I saw some pictures.
Yes, sir. I was in person. We got tickets on the fly last minute from Peyton's Youth Football League. So
cool.
they were giving out tickets. So yeah, so they a bunch of his friends from his football team were there, and it was nice. It was awesome, man. It was great to see a win. I mean, the game itself was absolutely boring.
Total brutal game, bro.
And it was brutal. It wasn't boring. I shouldn't say that. It wasn't boring. It was a defensive masterpiece.
Myles Garrett is a one-man wrecking crew.
He is that guy. And let me tell you, from the second row from the top of the stadium, you can still see just how big of a human that guy is on the field. I mean, it's crazy.
Or his hands are like the size of your sternum.
He is that guy. It was very surprising that the stadium was literally half filled with Green Bay Packers fans, and they were extremely
How far is Green Bay?
Oh, it's 8-9 hours.
Oh, okay.
So I think they're just maybe a bunch that live in this area.
How much would those tickets cost normally? Your section, roughly.
Oh, for my section, you probably get them like on game day or the day before for probably $60.
Oh, really? That cheap?
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. Because we're not good. So
no, I know, but still, I figured they'd be at least a couple hundred.
Yeah, no, they're probably like 60. ish. But yeah, it was a good time. It was nice to see a Browns win. It pulled it off in extraordinary fashion. Score was 10-0 with 2:30 left on the clock, and we came back and won at 13-10. So I still won't hold out too much hope, but the rookie Quinshawn looks good.
Quinshawn Judkins or whatever.
Toting the rock, yep. Defense looks stellar. And Joe Flacco looks old. So one funny anecdote is because there were so many Packers fans at the game yesterday, and they were all very loud, and they kept chanting, their "Go Pack Go" chant, and all the kids that were there with the football team or whatever in our row, they couldn't differentiate, so they thought everybody was screaming "Joe Flacco." Joe Flacco. So they were like getting up and cheering him. I'm like, you can't cheer with these guys like this, but yeah, the kids had fun. It was a good day. So
very good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, my Commanders, led by the Grizzly veteran Marcus Mariota, put a stomping down on the Raiders, which isn't too difficult to do, that's pretty cool. But
how long's Daniels out for?
And who knows? It's hopefully only
How long's your head coach out for after getting just decimated or something? Didn't he get hit? Somebody hit him.
Oh, he's fine. Yeah, he's fine. Shit. Dan Quinn's a tough dude. He's a tough dude. He'd be all right. But yeah, good day there. Not much else going on in the McDonald household. Just business as usual. Grace took her first Taekwondo class today. It didn't go great. For those of you who know my lovely Gracie, she doesn't always do the best in new situations with crowds. It wasn't a crowd of people, but with people she doesn't know. But the instructor, the sensei, I think that's what they call him in Taekwondo still. The head guy took her back with me in his office and had me sit, and he showed her some stuff one-on-one that she did really good in, and just kind of some cool. It was cool. I think I'm going to force her to do it at least for a few months because I was watching. We watched some of the class after, and those kids are it was cool to watch the discipline and the structure, and they were into it, and I think that would be excellent for my free-spirited Grace McDonald.
No fear in this dojo.
So. Yeah. She went out there fine. She got in there. Some little kid gave her a fist bump right away, and she was in there. And then when then 10 minutes later, she just kind of looked at me, and just that tear just started coming. But we'll work on it. We'll be all right.
I took Rex Kwando. If you know anything about that.
What is that?
I do.
Rex Kwando.
Sounds like something that should be on Futurama or something.
It's where you break the wrist and walk away.
Yeah.
It's not hitting for you, huh? All right, it's fine. We can move on.
Rex Kwando. No.
It's Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. Napoleon.
I don't remember that from Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Oh, God. All right. Hey, I got a question.
I've seen that movie a bunch of times.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Okay. I'm sorry that joke did not fall on me, Corey. Yeah. I apologize.
All right. I it's fine. I knew it was hit or miss. But
it was hit or miss.
I have a question. Did anybody get any shit from anybody this week from our episode last week? I'm just wondering.
No, but listen, I had a dream. I think it was last night. It could have been the night before. That our as of the other day, we have 101 subscribers to our YouTube channel, and I had a dream that number,
101,000.
Sure. I had a dream that went down to 63, and the main reason 63 very specifically, I remember the number, and the reason was because of the episode last week.
Fucking
so I was funny, but no, I have not. I have only heard good things actually.
Yeah. Because guess what? We can talk about these kind of things without getting crazy one-sided either one way or the other, and actually just be human beings.
Something we hear way too much is that.
What the fuck?
Sorry, I was just checking the YouTube channel and I accidentally clicked on one of your clips, Corey.
I know I'm not talking right now, but I hear myself.
But no, I didn't hear. I haven't heard anything bad. On the contrary, I've heard about 3 or 4 people, my mom included, Suzanne included. Thank you, Suzanne. Good things about it. So
nobody gives me feedback, so I have to ask you guys.
So But no, it was good. I'm glad we did it. And you guys, what anything else you guys got on your mind that's harping on your mind before we get into it, or
Nothing on my
what's
mind.
up? No. So tonight we have another. So 2 weeks ago we had those questions, and there's actually another whole set of questions that we were gonna do last week, but obviously the events, the tragic, assassination of Charlie Kirk happened, and we all felt we should do an episode on that, led by Greg. Thank you again for that, Greg, and Corey. Thanks for help convincing me. But the other set of questions kind of like ties directly into what Charlie Kirk stood for in terms of family and country and Jesus and God and all that stuff. So this set of questions. So it's actually going to be kind of a perfect little kind of third episode, bookend episode between the Charlie Kirk stuff from 2 weeks ago into today. So let's get right into it. So the first one is, what role does religion or lack thereof play in our lives as individuals and as family men and our families and in society? So let's start there. Let's go on a personal level. I'm going to go to Greg first. Greg, what role or lack thereof does religion play in your life, past, present, future?
I mean, certainly in the past, I was raised, within like the Catholic faith, and then on my dad's side, like more of the Christian stuff. I certainly fell away from all that pretty early on. I currently I don't practice an organized religion. Say like I don't go to church. I don't belong to a church. I'm not opposed to going to one. My fiance's family, is they belong to a church. They go. They kind of pressure us to go, not pressure, I wouldn't say, but they want us to go sometimes here and there. And,
Encourage.
encourage, yes. And it's not that we're wholeheartedly opposed to it or anything like that, but I am a firm believer in everything I've learned, certainly in recovery as well, is that I don't need to have the church in order to enrich my spiritual life, to have a connection with God on a daily basis. And I find that, whether it be through my quiet alone time during prayer and meditation, or whether it be through, working with other people, or just kind of trying to I think lately I've been personally kind of like wrapped up in a lot of stuff, stuff with work and helping my folks get their house ready to sell and stuff like that. So I've been kind of like wrapped up in a lot of personal stuff, and I notice when I do that, I start getting wrapped up in self and even not saying like playing the victim or playing the pity pot, but certainly like, man, I'm tired, man, I don't feel like doing this, man, I'm working so hard, yada yada yada. And then I have to have the reminder of like, hey, me doesn't usually work. So just making sure to double down on that kind of stuff. But as far as religion goes, not opposed to it. I think that it does a lot of good in this world. I also have my own feelings about, which I think we're going to get into a little bit later on with some stuff about free will and whatnot. But, sometimes those people that you're sitting next to in any room, and certainly churches, no outlier there, maybe don't practice the same kind of principles outside of that room that they do in it for a couple hours a week. So,
yeah. Yep. Very well said. Corey, what about you? Religion in your own personal life or lack thereof? I mean, we've known for a long time that you've needed Jesus, but
yeah. It's something that's come up a lot in the past year, maybe two.
Are you guys still attending?
Yeah, we haven't in the past like 2-3 weeks with travel and all that, but yeah, I think about a year and a half ago we started going again religiously, no pun intended, and it's always good. Like we go to TC3 and like I've always pretty much enjoyed the message there. Even from when I first came down to Florida, and the treatment center used to bring us there, and the pastor at the time was funny and personable and everything, and usually had a good message. So it was not unlike any decent speaker we might come across in our recovery groups, really. Sharing a good message and all relevant and stuff like that. It's spiritually based and whatever. These days, that the church that I attend has really started to lean into Jesus Christ. Like, and that might sound a little weird, but like it just like quite, I don't know how else to say it, but like the word God is less and Jesus Christ is more, which obviously, like, in that religion, it is non-denominational church, but in that religion, like, they're one and the same, and
right.
And then not part of my issue with it, I think, but I don't know. Like, I'm trying to get, like, stay on the path of like discovery when it comes to this, I think, and like kind of just ask questions and like seek it out a little bit, but like, every couple of months I'll kind of feel like I got rubbed the wrong way, and then I start questioning, like, I don't know if I can buy into this whole thing. Like, yes, I know there's a God. Like, we've talked about it a billion times on this podcast. I have a relationship with God, of my understanding. That's all well and good. I just don't know if I can completely sink my teeth into what an organized religion believes. But at the same time, it does seem appealing sometimes. And like, to some degree,
what about it is appealing? Like the fellowship church aspect of it, or the belief system part of it, or both?
So both. However, fellowship less, because I feel like I have a fellowship. Like, I don't feel a need for more fellowship, although like I'm not opposed to that either. It's what I wax and wane on is the belief system of Christianity, I think.
Yeah.
And
could you imagine him in a church fellowship, Greg? Oh God, they'd be laying hands on him and praying for him. He would be so uncomfortable.
So that's the other thing that can really get me out of the room, is to fucking put up the hands and
let me lay hands on you.
Oh, dude, like,
I like this into like backwoods Kentucky where they got the snakes and stuff like that. The blood of Jesus on you.
It's just like I'm not trying to make fun of them, but like,
no, I know.
They all have their hands up and stuff, and I just want to be like, hey, miss, this isn't a Dave Matthews concert, right? Like, this isn't. So I don't know.
We find God there, right?
Yes,
but that's the other side of that conversation, I think.
Right.
Yes, that's the thing. So
yeah.
But anyway, long story. So that all summed up, I'm looking, I'm searching, and I do like the structure of bringing my family to church every Sunday. I do like that. And I do I have a good experience almost all the time there. And every now and again, I just feel a little weird about it, but
yeah,
it's a me thing.
I was born and raised Catholic, Roman Catholic, have no qualms with it whatsoever. I was raised in a household with a loving God that forgives, that loves us no matter what. I often make the joke that I racked up a few thousand years in purgatory, and that truly is just what that is, a joke. I don't actually believe that. Had a very good upbringing that it came with God. I somewhere along the way, like both you guys, and like we hear from many of us in recovery and not in recovery, we just kind of just stopped doing business with God. I just strayed away. For whatever reason, we just strayed away, and we lived a lot of self-will run riot in our lives. And I remember getting sober, being at the halfway house, a couple months sober, and I had this thought, like, oh, well, like, I'm trying to change everything else about my life. Like, I should probably go back to church. Like, it makes the most sense. And there was a Catholic church right near the halfway house. And I went, like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 Sundays in a row on my own. Just went, and I didn't dislike it. I just simply, like, I couldn't pay attention. I just couldn't wait to get out of there. Not even for like a bad way. I wasn't like bristling with antagonism. I just was ready to go on to the next thing in my life. And at that point in my sobriety, even early on, I was getting connected with a fellowship. There was a meeting on the beach every Sunday morning, like late morning, and then we'd play volleyball after. And I just like I found myself feeling like going to church was an obligation rather than a desire, and that didn't feel right to me. I don't think, and maybe some would say that the discipline of going is the most important thing, and even if you don't want to, you go, and that's fine. I can even honestly get on board with that a little bit, but I felt like it was an obligation, not a natural desire. And at that point in time, and I still feel this way, the God of my understanding, I don't think he wants me to be in a situation like he don't want me to feel like it's an obligation. He wants it to truly come from the heart. So I've gone back to church here and there over the years. Hell, at 9 months sober, I had a pretty, you guys have heard my story. I had a pretty significant spiritual experience in a church, in the same church Corey goes to long before it was in that building when it was at the old place. I had a very, very significant spiritual experience. Like, and it was real. It was as real as this microphone and this table and this room around me. Like it was real. And I had an experience. And what I came out of that experience was to continue doing what I was doing in the rooms of recovery and to continue to enhance and cultivate my sobriety life, my sober life, which in turn was really just enhancing my relationship with God through work and self-sacrifice for others, just like our recovery literature tells us. And I've been back to church here and there multiple times over the years. As a matter of fact, just as within the last couple of years, we were going to our friend's house church. They started a house church. The guy that married us, Mr. I don't know if he wants his name on there, but initials TC, and his lovely family. They started a house church that's thriving. That's thriving still to this day. And we did it for a while. It was on Sunday evenings, and it just, for one reason or another, I kind of like Greg said, like the institution of the physical church does not make a believer out of me, nor does the lack of going to the institution of a church in any way, shape, or form lessen my connection with God, lessen my relationship with Him. I mean, I'm stronger today, than I was certain years ago. You know what I mean? Like it's just as strong today. I'm not opposed to it either. If the other short answer to that is on Sundays, I'd rather be playing golf. I'm not even gonna. I'm sorry, Mom. I know whatever, but I would rather be playing golf. And if I'm not playing golf till the afternoon, I would rather meet a guy that I'm mentoring on Sunday mornings, which I almost every Sunday do and have been for a very long time, and do some recovery work with them. So not opposed to it, but personally, I don't feel guilty for it either. Like I really don't. I haven't. Maybe at certain points in my sobriety, I did a little bit, but not in a long time have I felt guilty for it. I'm very, very comfortable in my belief and the way I go about my spiritual life, while also being totally willing to continue to learn and continue to grow. And if the God of my understanding convicts my heart to go back to church, I 100% will listen to that. That's why we started going to the house church in the first place a few years ago, because we both, my wife and I both agreed that we wanted to check it out and give it a chance. And we did for the better part of 6, 7, 8 months. And then, I don't even want to say it just wasn't for us, because that sounds so Pollyanna, like so whatever, but it just wasn't our vibe, So
yeah. You just thought eternal life didn't sound good, I guess. Okay, cool.
Hey man, kingdom of heaven is right here and right now, brother. What about in our families? How do we incorporate God, spiritual living in our families? And I'll go real quick on this. We definitely pray with our girls. We pray before bed. We pray. I'll go in reverse order. We pray before bed. We pray before meals. They've had their kids, children's Bible stuff and all that stuff. Like they've read through those. We've read some of those. We've talked about it. It's an open topic in our household. My wife loves Christian music, loves it. That's pretty much all she listens to, unless she's listening to some dashboard confessionals or something like that. But for the most part, all she does is listen to Christian music, and the girls love it. The girls know the words. They call it the Jesus music, and it's kind of cool. Like I love that. I love that. Even if that music isn't necessarily my cup of tea, although some of it's all right. A lot of it sounds the same to me, but some of it's all right.
It's all the same.
So we do that, and they loved the house church thing because there were other kids there, so that was a good aspect of it too. But it's an open thing in our household. I've had and will continue to have plenty of conversations with the kids about who God is, and like, not really trying to define him, but um, um, just having those conversations, over and over again is never a bad thing, So, what about you, Corey? Back to you. We'll go in reverse order. Janine, I don't know what that means. I don't know what NIN means.
9-inch nails.
Oh, my Aunt Janine does. Yeah, well,
Oh.
that's another conversation. You do. Okay. She said Aunt Janine, which
All right.
Miss Janine Stella forgets that I have an Aunt Janine that she knows very well. But yeah. What about you, Corey? Family?
I mean, a lot of similarities, Sean. Gabby loves the fucking Christian contemporary station. Oh my God. Whatever. She doesn't listen to this podcast. I can say whatever I want. And then
I'm sending it to her.
And then yeah, the kids have their favorites and they jam out to all the stuff too, and all that's great. I do have a couple songs that I like, and I can't even name them, but it's literally a couple because they were so different than the other crap
that's what I mean.
Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. And I don't know. I'll go down a whole thing about that. But yeah, I mean, same things. Like we're very not structured with it currently, but same things. Praying with the kids and stuff. Every now and again, like our church runs like a family activity. Like we did like this activity where they gave us like literally a little Jesus. The theme was everybody needs a little Jesus. Haha, get it? And there was things that you were supposed to do throughout the week with that little Jesus, like have certain conversations with your kids and stuff like that. And so we did that, and we won a Chick-fil-A gift card, which was very fitting that it was a Chick-fil-A gift card. But that was cool, and the kids enjoyed that and all that. So, but yeah, I mean, they get to go to we call it Sunday school, even though it is not Sunday school in the traditional sense. But they go. I mean, it kind of is. They go to their little class when we go to church.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? And they do, like, I thought initially when we started doing that, I thought it was just like daycare, like they just sit there and watch them tear up the room or something. But they actually do have like little lessons and let them color, and they, just little things like teach them,
dude. Sunday school, bro.
Songs. Yeah.
Is Noah hitting on all the chicks in there?
Like, yes, physically. So we got to work on that. But no, he actually, dude, you know what? Shout out to him real quick. Side note, he got Student of the Month this month for the first, like, this is the first month that they run it. He got Student of the Month. Let me tell you that this was an actual conversation between me and Gabby before the school year. We were so nervous that he wouldn't like do that well to get Student of the Month. And we were nervous because Lucy got Student of the Month in pre-K. She got it twice last year. So we're like, oh my God, what if he doesn't get it? And then it's like a,
Right.
But no, first time he got it, and
good for him. Hell yeah! Shout out to Noah.
That. Yeah, so he's really good for other people, just not us. It's fine. No, he's good for us, but he's wild. That's it. It's in their lives, and
right.
We do all the things. So
good stuff, Greg.
I mean, it's pretty short and simple, but we talk about it. If there's questions, that Peyton has or something like that, I do my best to answer them. I remain in all of this teachable and inquisitive, and also try to provide answers and guidance the best I can.
Yeah. Short and sweet. I should mention, when both the girls, when they were like really young, I would do breathing techniques with them, like form of meditation, and that has carried over. They're 9 and 6 now. That is totally carried over. When they get super, super upset and like sort of that hyperventilated cry, I like breathe, like let's deep breath, like, and they'll 9 times out of 10 they'll come around on it, which is pretty cool. So got to remember to do that with little Sean. I'm going to I'm going to skip a question because I like the way this conversation is going. And we'll start right back with you, Greg. What role does free will play in our lives? Very simple question on the surface, but this one can go deep. Free will.
Yeah.
What does it play?
I hate to go like too crazy deep
Nah, go
on this,
go.
but man, like this was to me, anytime I think of the phrase free will, I can go back to a specific moment in
Free
time.
Willy, the movie. Me too. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, excellent film. But no, I go back to a moment in time, a long time ago, and I had a drinking buddy, and we would stay up all night. You know, we'd all go out to the bars, and we'd come back to my place and, you know, have a bunch of people over and usually break out a copious amount of cocaine, which would lead to lots of late night philosophical discussions. Right. And I was, certainly, as I've told before on this podcast, but you know, I was in full of anger, full of a lot of resentment, and a lot of that was pointed at God because I was in a place in my life where it was like there is no God. It's not real. Right. You know, none of it's real. If it were real, if there was a all loving and powerful God, like why would he let all this horrible stuff happen? And I used horrible things that happened to me and my sister in our childhood. I used horrible things and the evidence that I saw just right there around me of, you know, if there is a God up there, like why, you know, and my buddy's answer to that was all because he was very, he had God in his life, you know. We were in the same set of circumstances, right? Drinking ourselves silly and along with a lot of other things, but he had God in his life, man. And he would tell me, he's like, you know, the Jesus gives us free will. The Bible gives us free will. We are able to do with this life what we choose, and we are it's hope that we make the best choices, but we have the choice. And man, that was it wasn't even a tough pill to swallow, because I was like, that's so hokey to me at that point in time. It was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard, you know. And I remember thinking in my head, well, what an easy excuse that must be, right, to justify the presence of God, right?
Yeah.
But you know, learning what I've learned, especially over the last 9 or 10 years, and opening myself up to it is yeah, that's the blessing and the curse of this world and this life, right? I think is that we do have the free will to do with what we want. When I exercise my free will along the path of what I think the God of my understanding would want me to be, to live up to that ideal that he would have me be, usually I'm doing pretty good things, right? But when I'm living on my own free will, on what Greg thinks is right, and you know, and like I said earlier, like, you know, so you start getting back into that me and the selfishness and the, oh, look what the world did to me again and all that BS, you know. You usually start tearing the walls down pretty quickly, you know, whether it be, you know, just lying, cheating, stealing, whatever it is, like, or not even, you know, more egregious things like that, but just little stuff that, you know, I'll screw somebody over to get ahead, you know, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, it is. So it's what role does free will play in our lives? It's everything, right? It's everything. And in other people's lives as well, you know, like too, it's a constant reminder that, the ideal that I have in my own brain for other people and what I think they should be, or what I would hope that they'd be. And sometimes they let me down, you know, the same way I've let a lot of other people down. Right. Because I was exercising my free will along the wrong lines. So, yeah, it's everything. It's just the hope that you're doing your best to do it the right way.
Okay. Good stuff. Corey, your thoughts on free will?
I don't know. I don't know, Sean.
The heavy for a Monday night, huh?
Yeah, it's heavy for any time. Like, isn't it's free will is like part of the entire freaking question, isn't it? Like, of why. You know what I mean? And that's why like organized religion is so hard for me, I think. I shouldn't say that. It's not so hard for me. But that's one of the barriers I have. Is like, why? Like, if
Why
God
do things happen?
yeah, like if God plopped us here on Earth and we can essentially do whatever we want and kind of change our own destiny and whatever, and like horrible things happen and whatever, or not horrible things, it's just it all amounts to why for me. Like, what the hell's the point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I think
do,
we all
I
do.
do understand. I think that's a question that all of us and many, many other people in recovery and out of recovery have been asking for
I
ever.
feel like I
Right.
feel like traditionally I was once told like traditional like Christianity, I guess maybe, or maybe like a delusion of it. I feel like I was once told that like more or less like God decided to play games with Satan and was like, okay, motherfucker, we'll see who wins in the end of this. When it's like, well, that just seems pointless because all knowing, all powerful, all loving God is obviously going to win, right? So like, win out. Good's always going to win over evil, right? So like, why? We're back to the why question. Why? I don't know. Anyway, I struggle. I don't know if any of that made sense, but furthermore, I struggle with like that I have like I do believe that I have my own will and that I could use it badly, especially when it's not aligned with God's will, right?
Right.
That's one thing we're taught is that we keep our will. We don't actually ever give up our will to God. We keep our will, but it becomes aligned with God's will. If we're doing the right things. But I struggle with my will versus nothing happens in God's world by mistake. Like even earlier, I was like kind of down on myself, and I was talking to Gabby and said something, probably being fucking dramatic, but I said something along the lines of like, I just worry that like, you know, that I made like this many self-willed decisions, which led me to this, which is the consequence of those decisions, because that's what happens, I think. But it's also like, yeah, but nothing in God's world happens by mistake.
Yeah.
Like isn't God in control of everything? You know what I mean? Like it's like and spirituality is filled with paradoxes. So I shouldn't be trying to solve the equation. I'm just saying. Like that's there, Sean. There's your freaking free will talk for you.
No, dude, I love it. I appreciate your honesty because I think again, a lot of people, myself included, have had a lot of those questions, and I think I I choose to take a pretty simplistic view of all of it, and you call that whatever you want. I really don't care.
Wise. I call it wise.
It's been working for me pretty good. But to Greg's point, you know, we are born with free will, which if you want to get religious, traces back to the whole original sin idea, right? That we inherit a sinful nature from Adam and Eve, and that inclination towards I don't want to say evil, but that's probably what the doctrine says, and that we need a savior like Jesus Christ or a God in our lives or a higher power of some sort, a higher with a capital H moral compass to help us sway back from it. Um, I'll shout out Lyle, man. God rest in peace, Lyle. He used to say, you know, he goes, I never understood why people say that they took their will back. Oh, I took my will back. He said, we'd say, where did it go? He goes, God gave it to you at birth, your free will, your self will. It never went anywhere. But what knuckleheads like us have done for so many years is we have become unaligned with God, right? That word alignment. Our will has become completely unaligned with God's will. And the whole point in our recovery process, in the recovery work that we do, the searching and fearless endeavor that we have in our recovery work is to get back to a sense of alignment with the God of our understanding. And I take I have a couple. I don't know if they're conflicting thoughts on this, but maybe they are, because I agree that like God gives us free will and we are free, to choose not to follow him and to choose not good things. Like I agree, but I believe that God is all knowing, all loving, and all powerful. Right? Omniscient, omnipotent, and what's the last one? Uh, Omnipresent. Right? He's present everywhere. He's all powerful and he's all knowing. Right? Um, and I think God does know. Like we don't know. We think, not that we think we're making our own decisions and we're really not, because I don't think he's a puppet master pulling the strings, but almost like there are, God has multiple different endings, if you will, or outlooks or avenues that each of us could go down. And luckily for all three of us, we've taken the one of recovery. And who knows how it's going to end, right? That's the great mystery. I think I have a decent idea on just some generalities of it. At least I hope I do, but none of us really do. And I think that we do use our free will to make certain decisions that send us down one of those paths, right? One of those avenues that God already knows is predetermined. Hell, he might even know that we're going to pick that one, or that's choice is going to lead us down that one. But I also think that each of those avenues, each of those paths, they have a get off point here and there to get back. You know what I mean? Like for us, it could have been another world, man. Any of us could have not made it to the rooms of recovery, or not stayed sober, or ended up in jail, or ended up dead, or whatever the case may be. But somewhere along the line, we call it chose differently, or finally just, maybe even the better way to put it is, we stopped making choices for ourselves and turned it over to, at first, the groups of recovery and the principles of recovery and all that. Um, but I'll never forget that, Lyle. Where did it go? It never went anywhere. You're not taking anything back. You've always had your self will. It's about getting it aligned with God's will. So that's what I have on that one. So, all right. Let's see. Let's go to this one, because this one is directly related to Charlie Kirk stuff. And apologies in advance if anybody can hear a baby crying, because he's out in the living room and I can hear him.
He's using
How
his
can
self
we?
will.
Yeah, shit. He's closer to God than any of us are. Um, how can we find meaning, purpose, and peace in the midst of suffering or pain? And that is extremely prevalent with what's going on right now, with what happened to Charlie Kirk and just in general. And I, you know, I'll speak for myself and my own experience. I have been very fortunate in a lot of ways not to have to, I haven't had to experience a lot of pain and suffering in my life in terms of, loved ones or tragic events, God, like knock on wood, God willing, all that stuff, right? My wife lost her father a few years ago. That was tragic for us, but he was also very sick, and left behind a wonderful family, right? So like you could say his quote unquote, his job was well fulfilled. I, um, we all know some very, very close personal friends of ours that have passed away due to this disease, and some other various ways. And I'll use that as an example, and I'll just shout it out. I'll just say Brian, because it's all, we're all thinking in a lot of ways. And for me, being extremely close to him, that was one of my first, like, real, somebody that close to me passing. And as you know, he was one of my best friends in my wedding, all that stuff, my best man, everything. um you know what? In a weird way, it feels good to mourn. And I know that might
Mm.
sound weird, but feeling that raw emotion of pain and suffering, and that appropriate mourning, right? Blessed, one of the Beatitudes, blessed are they that mourn, for I think it says, for they shall inherit the earth, or something like that. But it in a weird way, it felt good to mourn. It felt good to feel that loss, to know that my emotions, were that much alive, because I think for a long time in my addiction, they weren't. I felt indifferent to a lot of that stuff. So as much as I wouldn't even give anything to have him back, because that's totally like, not, that's just not what God had. You know what I mean? Like that goes into that free will discussion. Like that would totally be Sean's will. Um, Do I wish that he chose differently and made some different decisions in his physical life? Yeah, in some ways I do, but that pain and suffering, and we can use that. I think it's a great motivator. I think it's a great way to kind of streamline our intentions and our actions, right? And really put that stuff to good use. So I'll leave it there. But there's a sense of comfort that comes with mourning and pain and suffering in a weird way, I think. So back to you, Corey. If that last question wasn't heavy, this one might be heavier.
Yeah, I mean, it still kind of comes down to like why for me, but I say that just because we're talking about it on the podcast. Most of the time, I think I like to rely on my ignorance of. I mean, kind of like Chris McKinnell said on our podcast a few weeks back, like, you know, stop trying to figure out the mind of God, right? Like, I'm not going to figure it out, so it's better that I stop trying. I don't know. I just think that out of some of like the worst tragedies in history and or in our personal lives or whatever came an immense amount of strength. You know what I mean? To follow.
Yep.
I think that's always pretty much present. And I mean, even if we went back to last week and talked about Charlie Kirk's murder, whether you're for those beliefs or not, like the movement he started may very well have tripled. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
What was that stat we heard? Like he went from having, I don't know, like
1.2 million Instagram followers to like 12 million or something.
Something like that, yeah, which is just nuts.
So like, you look at something like that and it's kind of like what they say, like God's will is 2020 in hindsight or whatever the hell the saying is. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like I don't know. What does the question exactly say? Did I even answer it?
It's all good. There is no wrong answer, Corey. It's how can we pain and suffering, how can we, how do we deal with it? How can we put it to good use? How can we find meaning and purpose and peace in the midst of suffering or pain?
Let me say this and I'll end because I feel like I'm about to derail, but dude, the easiest thing to cite is our addictions. Like
oh yeah,
all
this good point.
Dude, all the stuff. I mean, that was it's very selfish of me, but like that is the most tragedy I've had in my life. It's all the shit that I went through in addiction, and like the stuff that like was eating my lunch that was keeping me sick anyway in that addiction, right? I mean, we have literature that says that like those deep dark secrets or the things that are killing us become like weapons to fight other people's addiction. You know what I mean? Like we use our the hell word am I trying to look for, Sean? You know what I'm talking about.
We use our pain, our misfortune.
Yeah, we use those things to help others, and like
our misery.
When we do that, like us three have practical experience doing that, where it's literally that simple. There's no like hokey magic or anything about it. It's we literally sit down with other alcoholics and drug addicts and help them by sharing our experiences with them. So like, I mean, that's as powerful as it gets for a drug addict like myself, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Greg?
Yeah, I really like what you guys have said. As far as because there's all different kinds of suffering and pain, right? Certainly the grief and the mourning side of things when it comes to death of another. What I try to focus on the most there's a great quote, says grief is the last act of love we can give to those we've loved. Where there's deep grief, there was great love. So those two things are so conjoined with one another, right? So with that, the meaning and the purpose in that is that we're honoring somebody else's life. And I realize too, when I am grieving somebody or mourning somebody, I always go back to some of the nicer moments, right? And
Right.
remember those. And the other thing too is sometimes I really wonder, like, am I mourning that person? Because we know if we believe this way that they're in a better place now, right? Or am I mourning for myself, right?
My
Because
relationship with them.
my relationship, I miss their presence in my life,
Yeah.
and how it affects me on a daily basis. So, and I mean, I always also go to Brian because he was just that guy for so many people, so with with that, I just try to, I remember that those things, it'll come in waves, and those waves will pass, and I am left with the good memories of those people. For other things, it's a lot like what Corey was saying too, is we have used the suffering and pain that we've gone through in our lives and turned that into something that can help others.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't think this popped up literally 2 weeks ago. A good friend of mine from up here reached out to me. I haven't talked to him in a while. Him and his wife needed help for their 20-year-old son who is he's hooked on cough medicine, which may seem laughable to some of our audience or anybody, but when you're taking 75 pills a day of anything, that's a problem.
We call that robo tripping, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, that's right.
But they reached out to me for help. They wanted me to come down and lead an intervention. I was very quick to tell them that I am not a trained interventionist. I'm just a dude that got sober. But I was able to talk to their son, and it was one of those things where I just kept it totally real with him. Like, dude, you can go down this road, and you can, your folks are about to throw you out, so you can go down this road. I've been down it. I've been homeless. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of unnecessary shit. Because right now you're young enough where you can absolutely turn this shit around, and you don't have to do this. And I think, knock on wood, for the moment, it has worked. But that's for me is like that's the meaning and the purpose, right? Is how can I help the people that I am most suited to help? And it might not always be addicts and alcoholics trying to recover. It's just, I try to look at it as like, who is God putting in my life today that I can, help turn all of my screw ups into something positive. So,
yeah. Very good. All right. Last question, and we're almost out of time. So 2-minute drill. Go snake back to you, Greg, and then Corey, then me. 2 minutes each. How can we use our faith and belief in God to help build a stronger community, which I think, again, directly correlates to what Charlie Kirk was doing? How can we use our faith and our belief in God to help build a stronger community?
Man, this is the thing that I was thinking about the most, as far as this whole Charlie Kirk thing and everything like that. And the world is very divided right now. The world is people, we talked about it last week. People are just at each other's throats, man. And so what I think that we can do is much like, or at least the way that I like to view it, man, is that there's so much out there, right? So just because it's what I believe does not mean that the monks in Tibet believe the same thing. It doesn't mean that the children that are born in the Middle East believe the same thing. And we don't have to, right? That's the beauty of all this, right? But we don't have to see eye to eye on everything. But if we just could practice the principles and the real tenets of whatever literature we choose to use as a guide to this life is trying to teach us, right? The ideas of that literature, and just be open. Be open to seeing somebody else's viewpoint. Be teachable, and use that to try and help bridge some gaps between this stuff so that we can all kind of start coming back together. It seems so far off sometimes, right? And then I remember that it's little actions. It's little actions that we take on a daily basis to try and be better human beings. So that's what I got.
Good stuff. Corey, how can we use our faith and belief in God to help build a stronger community?
Well, I like what Greg said, and I think, I'm also gonna reference Erica Kirk yesterday, dude. Like, if you guys watched any of her speech at Charlie's memorial, I watched that whole thing, and the only time I had like a tear in my eye was when she said that she forgives the assassin.
Yeah.
I thought, even if that's not entirely true, being a skeptic, that not taking her for her word, even if it's not entirely true, how powerful is it still to say that?
Yeah.
In that moment. And I have no reason not to believe that she truly does, at least on some level. But that being said, I think the best thing we can do is like shower. I'm not that good at it, but shower. I'm good at showering. But
thank God for that.
Yeah. But shower people in love and grace, as much as we can. The people we don't like, especially, or the people that we bump elbows with or whatever. I mean, I got a list of people that I could tell you right now I'm not a fan of, and I'll tell you why, and we'll be here all night. So like, it's something that I need to pay attention to and practice too. But I think being the example in that manner is contagious and attractive and appealing to other people. I think by doing that, we obtain real peace in our heart, and that's what's attractive. You know what I mean? That's what's attractive about church a lot too. Like, and you don't have to go to church to be that person by any means, right? Like, I think we've covered that pretty well.
Yeah.
But it's I heard in a meeting one time, and it's an odd place to hear a phrase like this, but somebody just said, and they were sharing, and somebody just said, don't talk about Jesus, go act like the fucking dude.
Yeah.
And I was
not a bad way to put it.
That's word for word. And I thought, yeah, that's a great way to live, isn't it? So anyway, I think that builds a community. I think it's built a community for us. I think we us three have a community around us, and we're all pretty like-minded, and we share in the same peril, we share in the same solution, and that's pretty indispensable.
Yeah. I think that the three of us and many other people like us in recovery are uniquely situated where, especially once we get to the point where we can start to mentor others, because I mean, like, what better way to help build God into a community than to help people come to believe in God, build a relationship with God, start to want to follow the will of God, try to be more like, keep going, right? And we've seen it firsthand, right? The reunited homes and the restoration of families, or the new families beginning. And I mean, hell, look at us, dude. Especially me and you, Corey. Like, we didn't have kids when we got sober. We weren't married. Like, look at, like, we are, upstanding members of society today. And and Greg, same for you, right? Upstanding members of our community. In our respective professions, we're honest, right? We're hardworking. We are trying to, hopefully, even if we're not dealing with people in recovery or about recovery, we are hoping to bring that spirit of God in recovery to kind of all we come in contact with. So I think we're uniquely situated, especially as mentors, to help foster that that God into the community. And I think there's plenty of other ways, right? Whether we are involved with our church or a local nonprofit, community service, there's all kinds of different things we can do. Getting involved in an organization like Turning Point. Hell, let me go out on a limb and say starting an organization like Turning Point, or even if it's just the smallest little fraction of it, right here in our communities. And as again, to quote Brian, if you want to try to save the world, I'm sure he didn't come up with this, although he'd love getting credit for it. If you want to try to save the world, you got to start right in your own backyard. He told me that once, and it was at a point in my life where it really hit home, and he also said, you definitely can't save everyone, right? But we can certainly try. Like, that was his big thing. Like, we can certainly try. And so I don't know, we're in a good place. I don't know what the hell I would do without you knuckleheads and the recovery community, because that gives me so much purpose, like so much purpose and direction. I truly don't know what I would do without that community and this lifestyle. So very good. Any parting thoughts from anyone?
Whatever. No.
I thank you guys for being here with me. I thank you guys for partaking in this conversation. Hopefully someone out there has listened to this, or will listen to this, or has listened to other ones, and will certainly get some help and some get their spirits up from it. So shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Email us at trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Corey will be checking that email address. Send in your mailbag requests for topics, questions, comments to any of these handles. Remember, we are all here. If anyone wants to talk about recovery, our experiences, or if you are struggling with some form of addiction. Thank you again to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night, God bless, and may you trudge the road of happy destiny. We will see you next week.